Disclaimer, this video contains sensitive content and information. This video is purely meant for informative and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. It has definitely been some time, that being of course time, since Kenokokitten has been exposed for some pretty unlawful things, which begs the question, since he was exposed, where is Kenokokitten in the present day 2024? Well, first off, who exactly is Kenokokitten? Brian Seja, born on December 18th, 1998 in Chesterfield, Virginia, United States, is popularly known as the former social media personality Kenokokitten. He created content on YouTube and Twitch. He created commentary and news content based upon the popular game Roblox. In 2018, Brian decided to make the switch to commentary after his channel blew up in popularity. Prior to this, he was working at Subway as a sandwich artist. He's explained in the past he didn't enjoy working at Subway as it was a way to pay for his bills and expenses. During this time on YouTube, he would make simple gameplay videos on games like Roblox and Minecraft, including his former second YouTube channel called Keneko without the word kitten. On this channel, he made content based upon his interests and well-being. For instance, he played a lot of rhythm games and is actually really good at them. He made videos speedrunning songs that were included in these games, and he would speedrun fan-made songs as well. He talked about how he was bettering his health, working out, and getting into bodybuilding. Before the controversy occurred, within the past few years, on his second channel, he mentioned how he was losing interest in making Roblox content. He mentioned he was moving forward and moving on to other things in his life. Looking at the face of his YouTube channel, you can't have Kenokokitten without his Roblox avatar. His character equips a pair of glasses, a yellow head, and purple accessories and body. With commentary content in mind, Brian was also known for his incredible skill in the Roblox games Doomspire Brick Battle and Arsenal. In fact, the background gameplay in most of his videos consisted of Arsenal, Bad Business, Doomspire, and other types of SPS games. Before his controversial downfall, Brian had an astonishing 1.38 million subscribers. Each video of his would average hundreds of thousands of views with thousands of likes, and everyone in the Roblox community gave positive feedback to Kenokokitten, that being until he was exposed. There's actually two perspectives of the story. I'm going to start with Kenokokitten's side of the story first, then I will proceed to Narpy's perspective and break down how everything unfolded. Narpy's real name is Max, so if I mention the name Max, I'm referring to Narpy. According to Brian, he and Max first met in August of 2019. They met through mutual friends because Max was dating one of Brian's friends at the time named Grant, and Brian was supportive of them both. Continuing, Brian heard negative rumors about Max due to a call-out post that was made about his behavior earlier that year in January. Brian gave him the benefit of the doubt since Grant clearly trusted Max and was helping him with his poor mental health. Brian noticed Max was venting on Twitter, and he followed Brian back, and they DM each other back and forth, and eventually the conversation was moved to Discord. They had chill and polite conversations along with giving each other advice and so forth. Eventually, Max's relationship with Grant would take a turn after the discovery Max was cheating on Grant with someone outside of the relationship. The person who Max cheated on Grant with, their name being disclosed, came clean to Grant about it, and the relationship between Grant and Max was at this point no longer. Max would find himself in a situation of being lost and lonely. Brian, however, was still there for him. All of Brian's and Max's friends in the friend group distanced from Max and labeled him as a terrible person. And to add to that, Brian placed in parentheses, "Don't blame them, LOL." Anyways, continuing from Brian's perspective, he wanted to help Max move past that because Brian wanted to help people grow and learn from their mistakes. This is something Brian tries his best ability to do with people. Eventually, Max would grow very affectionate of Brian. He would push this onto Brian to the point Brian felt obligated to show affection back to him. Brian went with this to make Max feel a sense of happiness, to get his mind off of the depression, stress, and drama that he had endured himself in on Twitter and in friend groups. At this point in Brian's side of the controversy, he said he and Max met through mutual friends. Max was dating one of Brian's friends, Grant. Max cheated on Grant. Grant found out through the person Max cheated on Grant with. The relationship ended. Max fell into a deep depression. Brian wanted to get closer with Max and help him with his deep depression. What began as a small friendship would lead into a sexually charged and intimate relationship between both Max and Brian. They were really into each other. In Brian's document, he mentioned Max was pushy a lot and would want conversations to always be sexually related. Brian would state he was only intimate to make Max happy and would tell Max to ease off from this behavior and still refuse to listen to Brian anyways. Yet again, this was all coming from Brian. Before I continue, one thing to note down is that both Brian and Max have admitted to being manipulative people. In fact, they manipulated each other a lot. One method of manipulation Max would use against Brian was stating he was going to commit suicide. It was true at one point Max actually attempted suicide and was a suicidal person, but most of it was for say, which he admitted to.
Throughout 2020, I became increasingly abusive towards Kenoko, and I would use my self-harm to manipulate him into spending time with me.
Max had a different take on the relationship. Max mentioned in his video exposing Brian took a lot of things out of context and would cut a lot of the messages he said so he would appear as the victim in this incident.
At the time Kenoko made his document, he deleted a bunch of our chat logs. The reason I believe he did this was so that he could capture a very specific narrative in his document.
For instance, Brian states in his document he has never asked Max for any kind of nudes. This was debunked. debunked. Max said he would only give Brian nudes if Brian gave him permission to do so.
Kaneko had stated in his document that he never once asked me for nudes. This is completely untrue, and I had never sent him a nude without his permission.
For the time being, before Brian was officially cancelled for his wrongdoing, in Max's response video, Max confirmed Brian managed to manipulate his fanbase and convince them to feel sorry for him and cancel Max. Max also revealed the death threats and harassment he was getting from Brian's community got so bad, it got to the point he had to delete his own Discord server with 25,000 members, and he was swatted while live streaming by someone anonymous.
In an instant, I had lost most of my supporters and had to end up deleting my 25,000 member Discord server due to the large amount of backlash, hate comments, and death threats that I would receive.
And so after Max was called out, he was successfully cancelled from the internet, that being until Max had to readdress what actually happened when the relationship was still active. In the video, Max confirmed he did in fact hurt himself, he was abusive, and was manipulative. However, Max did mention he deserved being called out for this and took accountability for this.
I was abusive, I was manipulative, and I did hurt myself, and I did send him those pictures. There is no excuse for my behavior, and I deserve to be called out for that.
Max debunked Brian's claim that the relationship was one-sided, but instead it was mutual and consensual. Through leaked text messages with most of his legal identification card blurred out, Max confirmed his date of birth is January 10th, 2002. Around the time when they first met in late 2019, Brian says to Max, "I could totally just come up behind you and reach up your underwear and grope you randomly." In this same conversation, he even tells Max, "Shove your tongue down my throat while our things get slick and wet grinding." Mind you, while Max did admit to lying about his age, even after Brian was directly informed by Max about this, Brian was still okay with all of this. This was just a short summary of the story, revealing Brian and Max's perspective of their relationship and what actually went down. You can read into the rest of the story with the links provided in the description below. Everything is there, including Max's Google Drive files. Within all honesty, I enjoyed Brian's content before he was exposed. He had great storytelling. It actually broke my trust and support for Brian when I found out about this news. I was very much surprised when I discovered Brian did most of this, including some of the things that Max did as well. Unlike Brian, Max never committed to any kind of grooming or CP. It was confirmed Brian participated in these types of unlawful material. Max apologized for his mistakes to any victims he offended and took full accountability. Although Brian is not a registered sex offender, it was confirmed after Max revealed his age, 17, to a 20-year-old Brian. Brian was still okay with all this and ignored the age gap. Brian's small degree of accountability for some of his actions, as demonstrated in this document, was not accountability, but in fact a tactic of manipulation in an attempt to cover up word getting out about his awful actions. In the now deleted video, Brian made a response to Max's video calling out Brian. In Brian's response video, he confirmed he manipulated everyone.
"I obviously could have handled this in a much different and better way than a manipulative one-sided document,"
including his very own fan base, and he even said he was selfish for making everything one-sided and about him. Although as of when the controversy occurred, Brian did have a social disorder called Asperger's, which is considered to be in the spectrum of autism. He admitted to still having full consciousness in terms of his decision-making process, and he said in his deleted video there were no excuses for his poor actions. This could have been Brian continuing to manipulate people. It can only be said for certain Brian is in deep guilt and regrets all of this. The only reason he regrets this is because he was called out for it and was cancelled, as he should. Considering all of this, where's Kenokokitten now? Not surprising, he's still on the internet. Although there is no way to confirm this, the internet is too big to simply get cancelled and to never interact with it ever again. I can only imagine he's using alt accounts, and the alt accounts having no similarities to his Kenokokitten social media accounts, meaning it would be very hard to find any of his alt accounts. If you're wondering, the same logic applies to Roblox. He definitely still plays Roblox. All of his Kenokokitten social media accounts are private and /or deleted. If you're interested in seeing any of his deleted videos, including the video he responded to Max calling him out, you can watch his video and channel archives on YouTube. I'll place a link to his deleted response video and some Kenokokitten archives in the description below. As for Max, as he stated in his calling out video, Brian damaged his reputation severely. It wasn't until the past year Max was able to get justice for all of this. Max has mentioned he's still recovering from this incident, but overall he's doing better. As for if they still talk or not, I have no confirmation on this. Let me know down below in the comment section if they still talk. In terms of the source material, I got this information from Kenokokitten's document exposing Max and Max's official document and evidence. And of course, other information I may have included comes from Kenokokitten's deleted response video and from Max's calling out video. I placed some links to all that in the description below. All other sources used will be given credit in the description as well.